Hello, I'm Blue, and in today's video, I'll try and explain how to draw expressions. I've been owing this video for the last year. Oops, I'm so sorry. Please let me out of jail. I am here to pay my dues. Many people don't use expressions because it can be hard to keep a consistent art style when using expressions, or maybe it breaks the quote-unquote pretty of a character's face. So I'd love to show you how you can learn expressions regardless of your art style. Before we delve in, I'm excited to share that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an incredible online learning community where everyone can explore, enroll, and even teach a wide range of classes, from photography and graphic design to music, cooking, business, marketing, lifestyle, and much more. There's something for everyone. I find committing to learning new things can be rather daunting, and I have no idea where to start, and I'm kind of afraid of looking a bit silly. So I avoid getting started with new hobbies and learning new things, even though I so badly want to get into them. I kind of just watch from afar and yearn to get started. Skillshare was ahead of this and has introduced a new feature called a learning path, which is designed to help you get started with the path you want to follow. Learning paths are collections of classes carefully selected to be taken step by step. Each class is built on what you've learned and strengthens within the lesson. They cover various levels of experience from beginners to advanced and include topics like design, productivity, creative freelancing, tools such as Procreate and Blender, marketing, and more. It makes the starting a lot less scary. I've been trying to get into writing for a comic I'd like to produce later in next year, but writing is definitely one of my weak points. So I've been taking the learning path, creative essay writing, explore the personal and powerful, which is 3 classes and 3 hours in total. And so far it has been great. It covers a lot of the essentials, basically. Whether you're pursuing a hobby or aiming to turn your skills into a career, start investing in yourself this year with Skillshare. As a special offer, Skillshare is giving 1 month free to the first 500 viewers of mine to use the link in the description box. I highly recommend taking advantage of this opportunity if you're eager for easy and enjoyable learning. A big thank you again to Skillshare for their continued support, and now let's get into the video. So what are expressions and why are they so important? Expressions are used to bring your character to life, give them personality, and tell a story of what your character is going through. There's something so much fun about being able to show a viewer the pain or joy that your character is experiencing without having to use words. I love it so much. This is exactly why it's so important, especially if you're trying to tell a story with your pieces. First things first, and I know this is the most annoying art advice everyone always gives, is you got to know the rules first before you're able to break them. What this means is that to express your characters in your art style, you need to understand how things work in real life first. Studying real life faces is the best way to learn the rules. Here's what I look for and how I study them. You got to know the facial anatomy first, like the proportions and the facial planes, and how the features of the face work, like the eyes and the mouth. I do have 2 videos going over this topic over here, and the method I'll be using to draw these features will be the same that I used in these videos. So I do recommend checking them out first if you're kind of new to the whole facial feature deal. As for studying facial expressions, I do it in 2 ways. 1 being redrawing the reference, and then 2 trying to replicate the expression but simplified. But first, what do I look for in the reference when I'm studying? I look for 2 things, flow and pressure points. Let's take these 2 expressions here. I would say the part of the face where it is pulling together, so I call this a pressure point, is going to be here, and everything else is going to flow into where the pressure point is. So that everything in the facial features are kind of flowing towards this point. But with this one, the pressure points are pulling outwards, so everything in the face is going to flow outwards with the expression. As you can see, like the eyes are wider, the eyebrows are kind of raised, the mouth is wide. See, it all kind of flows to where the pressure points are. So when you're like studying real life reference, you're trying to figure out the muscles, like where are the muscles tensing? That is the pressure point that I'm talking about. What part of the face is kind of in tension right now? Another thing I really pay attention to is the facial creases and wrinkles. Where they are and how deep they are according to the intensity of the expression. I'll explain later why this is so important. So that's what I look for. Now to practice, I either redraw the reference as is and I try and capture what I'm looking at, or I try and translate the expression into a simplified version, almost like an emoji, kinda, like this for example. Doing a bunch of these is really great practice, and it's also lots of fun because you can kind of press the emotion, especially if you try and simplify it. But once you understand real life expression, you'll be able to make them into your own style and make it look believable. I'll show you an example in a bit. Let me explain expressions first. I don't want to run down every emotion with you and like explain how each of them works. I would rather just show you like what I focus on with the facial features, which is what I'm going to do. Here's a list of emotions and how they are expressed. A fun challenge you can do is drawing your characters expressing these emotions. It's great practice. And yeah, so I just wanted to make that clear quick. For me, the most important thing that expresses expressions are the eyes and the eyebrows. It's true when they say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. They express so much more and tell so much more about your character and your story, and it's always the first thing that kind of catches my eye is the eyes of the character. So eyes can either be stretched open or squeezed shut, and so bottom eyelid can move up, top eyelid can move down, you know the gist of how eyes work. And just by knowing this, you can express emotions. So if you like lowered the eyelids, they'd look more annoyed. If you like opened both of them, they'd look more shocked. But if you lifted the bottom eyelid, they would look more like cheeky maybe. So you can have a lot of like different expressions with just being able to like lower and lift the eyelids. Each eye can be different. One eyelid can be raised, the other one can be slightly closed, giving like a different kind of expression. Again, think about the pressure point and where that pressure point is, if that might be squeezing the eye or like opening the eye. The placement and the size of the pupil also play a really big significant role in expressing emotion through the eyes. Take a look at how this simple expression changes depending on how I draw the pupils. Really small makes them look really shocked, like they've just seen something that they shouldn't have, or maybe they're enraged. If I make them really big, they look really friendly or like they're on some kind of drugs. With expression, it's really the smallest changes that can make the biggest impact. Eyebrows are just as crucial, if not even more. They are so much fun to play around with. The thing with eyebrows though is even the slightest change in them can alter the entire outcome of the expression itself. For example, look how the slightest eyebrow raise can change this expression from anger to concern. Now, adding the correct wrinkles in the right areas can make a huge difference in intensity. Normally, people's faces wrinkle when they express deep emotion, so adding them to the appropriate places will emphasize these areas. For example, like giving them an intense wrinkle between their eyebrows, either raised upwards or downwards, can give them the intensity of being really confused or angry. Or you can give them wrinkles by their nose or their mouth if they're like have a disgust look on their face, or maybe a shocked look on their face. Or like my favorite, adding them under the eyes if the characters are kind of tired or maybe a bit more aged or wiser. I understand wrinkles and creases can be a little bit intimidating to put into your character because they're not considered pretty, but they are so much fun once you figure out how you can get it to work with your art style. Mouths also play a big role in the expression, but the way I draw mouths isn't really detailed, so I'll just do a really quick example of how I express the mouths. How I kind of picture mouths is that they have like 4 points that can move. these 4 points sit here. So one at the top, one at the bottom, and one to the right and one to the left. Now, if you express with these 4 points in mind, you're able to get a wide range of expression. You can also manipulate them to how the pressure point is in the face. So let's say you have a shocked expression, which is just like mouth open. You can tilt the pressure point to the side to give it more of a disgust, to show more like gum, for example, like the one I'm showing here. Or if you have a simple smile, you can move the pressure point in the middle upwards, so it kind of looks like a smirk or like a devious kind of smile. Honestly, for mouths, I just like to stick with the triangle shape for most of it. But that's just my art style, and you can do it however you want. To express your character, you have to understand why they're expressing what they're expressing. Understand why they have this disgusted feeling. Understand why they're angry or why they're so joyful. And try and figure out how you, as a person, would express that. Like, how would you express that? Would your shoulders be raised? Would you be slightly tense? Would you be looking down, or would you be looking upwards? If it is a scenario where they're trying to like face each other, is the one shameful? Would you be able to make eye contact with someone if you feel shameful, or would you be looking away? And would you be like frowning? You know, put yourself into that scenario and try and figure out how would you express that. That's something that I do quite a bit. Now let's try getting to expressing the full face. Like, how would you do this in your art style? I'm going to show you in my art style what I do, and then hopefully maybe you can translate that into how you draw. Now, getting into the drawing aspect, first, obviously, I understand what I'm trying to express. Then I focus on the pressure points in the areas I want to emphasize. So if I'm going to go for an angry face, I know because of the studies that I've done that everything pulls inwards with anger. So because I know where and what muscles are being tensed and where those pressure points are, I'm trying to understand how the facial features are reacting. So like right now, I'm just drawing a bunch of expressions and I'm trying to show you where these pressure points sit for me and where I figured them out with my studies. So you can reference these if you would like, but don't forget this is just my art style. The way you'll be drawing expressions will probably be a lot different than the way I would do it. I'm also trying to show you how a slight bit of changes in the expression can make a huge difference, even though it's the same emotion like sadness. If you like just change like the mouth, that changes the entire expression basically. Another fun thing you can do is to use shading to express an intensity of a feeling. So not using the shading as it is supposed to be in real life, but using it to darken an expression or make an expression look more intense, or lightening an expression. You can do this with gradients or shading or like highlights. Now, you don't need to push expressions if you have a pretty art style. Like if you just want to draw pretty people that have like just one expression, that is totally okay to do. You can literally draw the same expression over and over and over again if that's what you like to do. You don't have to express expression in your art, right? Keep doing what you like. But I do think it's important to be able to do it if you want to. So having this knowledge is important, but that doesn't mean you have to put it into your work. I think that's enough rambling for me for today. I hope the video has been able to help you just a little bit. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. And again, thank you so much for watching up until here. I really, really appreciate that. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!